All right, let's jump right in. So you've done it, you've powered through that massive 40-hour training, and now you're staring down the RBT Competency Assessment. So what's this all about? Well, our goal here is pretty simple, actually. We're gonna take all that incredible knowledge you've packed into your brain and help you turn it into confident, professional action. Okay, so you've finished the training. You close the laptop and think, now what, right? And if you're feeling just a little bit overwhelmed, trust me, that is completely normal. I mean, you've just absorbed a mountain of information. So the big question is, how do we take all that and translate it into a killer performance on your competency assessment? Well, that's exactly what we're here to do. Let's break it down. All right, first things first. And honestly, this might be the most important step of all. It has nothing to do with flashcards or cramming and everything to do with your mindset. Seriously, we've got to reframe how you're even looking at this whole thing. So let's just completely shift our perspective. This is not some scary pass-fail test designed to trip you up. No way. I want you to think of this as your first real professional opportunity. It's your stage. It's your chance to demonstrate to your assessor, hey, I've got this. I'm ready to be an effective, skilled, and professional RBT. Okay, so now that we've got our heads in the right space, let's get practical. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Because, to feel in control, you've got to know the rules of the game, right? So let's cover the core logistics. First up, who's actually going to be assessing you? Who's on the other side of that clipboard? Well, you'll have what's called a responsible assessor. This is a certified BCBA or BCBA, and they're in charge of the whole shebang. Now, they might also have an assistant assessor helping them out. This person doesn't have to be certified, but they've been vetted and have proven they know their stuff. So there are 3 key logistical things you absolutely have to keep in your back pocket. First, timing. There's this 90-day window you gotta hit. It has to be after your 40-hour training, but no more than 90 days before you send in your RBT application. So keep an eye on that calendar. Second, the format. The good news is it doesn't have to be some giant marathon session. It can totally be broken up into a few different meetings. And third, location. You've got options. It could be in person, live over the internet, or even by them watching recorded videos of you. Okay, stop everything for a second because this is a huge piece of advice. I really want this to sink in. What happens if you mess up on a task? Do you fail? No, this is the best part. Your assessor can actually give you corrective feedback and let you try again, maybe on another day. See, it's a learning process, not a one-shot and you're out deal. This is all about building your skills, not just passing a test. How helpful is that to know? So, how are you actually going to show them what you've got? Well, there are basically 3 different ways this can go down, and your assessor will decide which path is best for each task. You might be asked to perform the skill directly with the client, or you might do some role-playing, where you and your assessor act out a scenario. And finally, you might just be interviewed, where you'll need to describe a concept and give some solid examples. All right, let's be real. Looking at a list of 20 tasks can feel a little daunting. So we're gonna do something smart. We're gonna stop thinking of it as one long, scary list, and instead, we're gonna break it down into 4 distinct missions. Trust me, this makes preparing for it so much more manageable. So, welcome to your mission briefing. Here's the plan. We'll kick things off with Mission 1, measurement. This is all about showing you can track behavior like a pro. Then we move to Mission 2, assessment, which is how you figure out what's important to your client. After that, we get to the big one, Mission 3, skill acquisition and behavior reduction. And we'll finish up with Mission 4, where you demonstrate your professionalism. It makes sense to look at missions 1 and 2 together. Why? Because they're really the foundation of everything. It's all about data. This is where you're going to show off skills like continuous and discontinuous measurement, running preference assessments, and taking solid ABC data. It's all about proving you can be that precise, data-driven professional that every team needs. And hey, here's a pro tip for you. This is the kind of thing that separates a good RBT from a truly great one. Don't just do the task like a robot. Be ready to explain why you're doing it, the clinical reasoning behind it. So you might say something like, I'm choosing to use frequency recording here because our goal is to count exactly how many times this behavior happens. See? That shows a whole other level of understanding. Okay, let's gear up for Mission 3. And honestly, this is the heart of it all. This is the core of your RBT skills. This is where you take all that training and put it into practice with those heavy hitter procedures like discrete trial teaching, chaining, and prompting. This is where theory gets real and becomes action. Okay, I need you to lean in and listen close to this one. This is a critical, non-negotiable role. For this mission, 3 of these tasks must, and I'm going to say it again, must, be demonstrated with an actual client. This is not something you can just hope works out. You've got to plan ahead for this. Talk to your assessor, get it scheduled, and make it happen. So because they're so important, let's zoom in and put a spotlight on two key areas. We're going to break down one of the most common hands-on tasks you'll do, which is discrete trial teaching, or DTT. And then we'll talk about that interview portion that's all about assessing your professionalism. So when you're demonstrating DTT, your assessor is looking for a really clean, crisp, 5-step cycle. It goes like this. First, you give the instruction, the SD. Then, if needed, you might give a prompt. Third, you wait for the learner's response. Fourth, you deliver the consequence, like some awesome reinforcement for a correct answer. And finally, there's that little pause, the intertrial interval, before you do it all again. So, how do you really knock it out of the park with DTT? Pro tip number 1, master your reinforcement. We're talking immediate, like the second they get it right. It's got to be enthusiastic and genuine, not flat. And get specific. Instead of just good job, try awesome job putting the blue block in the bucket. All right, pro tip number 2. Find your rhythm. A smooth, quick, consistent pace during DTT just screams, I'm prepared and I'm confident. A big part of this is just having your materials organized and ready to go. You want to avoid that awkward dead air between trials and keep that learning momentum rolling. And pro tip number 3, what happens when the learner gets it wrong? First thing, don't panic. Seriously, this is your chance to shine. An error is just an opportunity for you to show that you know the error correction procedure. You just calmly and correctly implement it. Your assessor wants to see how you handle things when they don't go perfectly, because in the real world, they often don't. Okay, let's bring it home with our final mission, professionalism. We're talking about things like session notes, client dignity, getting feedback, and these are all going to be assessed through an interview. So listen, the key to acing this part isn't just spitting back definitions. It's about being ready with concrete, professional examples from your own experience. And you know what the absolute best way to structure your answers is? It's called the STAR method. It's a lifesaver. For any question they ask, you just frame your example like this. S is for situation, you set the scene. T is for task, what was your goal? A is for action, what did you actually do? And R is for result, what happened in the end? Using this makes your answers so clear, so concise, and just really powerful. Whew, we have covered a ton of ground, haven't we? So let's pull it all together. Let's consolidate everything into one final, powerful action plan. Think of this as your personal success checklist. Here it is, your 5 keys to success. Number 1, reframe that mindset. Remember, it's your stage to shine. 2, know the logistics. Keep that 90-day window and the client requirement top of mind. 3, master the 4 missions by breaking your prep into smaller chunks. 4, get your STAR stories ready for that interview. And finally, number 5, embrace any feedback you get. It's not criticism, it's fuel for your professional growth. And there you have it. That is your roadmap to success. Look, the competency assessment is just that final step before you can go and sit for the RBT exam. You have done the hard work. You've put in the hours. You are ready to show what you know. You've totally got this. So I'm going to leave you with a question. You have the knowledge now and you have a solid plan. So what's the very first STAR story you're going to prepare for your interview? Is it going to be about a time you maintained client dignity? Or maybe a time you had to seek clinical direction? Pick one. Think about it and start preparing right now.